The International Islamic Charity Organization, the IICO, hosted an international meeting to discuss the humanitarian needs of conflict-traumatized Syrians. The charity organizations pledged $400 million to help alleviate the humanitarian plight of Syrians affected by their country's civil war. More with our correspondent Hiba Abdurrahman with this report.
Kuwait's International Islamic Charity Organization, or the IICO, invited 235 international and local humanitarian organizations, charities and philanthropists to attend the conference of NGOs aimed at raising donations for Syrian refugees. The event, which is held for the second time in Kuwait, came a day ahead of its equivalent for nations that aims at providing a platform for these humanitarian bodies to take part interactively in easing the suffering on Syrian refugees.
The conference that's being held tomorrow on Wednesday is absolutely vital for the Syrian people, and we are all extremely grateful to Kuwait for taking this leadership yet again in holding the second pledging conference for the Syrian people. You'll recall at the end of January last year, Kuwait initiated this initiative, and we received commitments last year of $1.5 billion. And many of the donors who committed, in fact, increased their donations in the course of the year. Kuwait itself was incredibly generous. It took the lead, and it committed almost $300 million to the United Nations. And we've been happy to report back on the results we've achieved on that. So Kuwait is really becoming a global leader in humanitarian action, and this is another example. The aim tomorrow is really to kickstart the resource mobilization for the needs for Syrians inside Syria and also Syrian refugees for the next year. We have estimated that just for the United Nations-led appeal alone, if you combine Syria, needs in Syria and in host countries, it's over $6.5 billion. It's huge.
Tomorrow's conference is extremely important because we're facing a situation where over 9 million our brothers and sisters and children in Syria are suffering, going through a major crisis. So tomorrow's conference can help us in terms of finding the resources, which is absolutely essential to give them the essential services. The services in terms of the shelter, the food, water, medicines, the education, and other kind of support mechanisms. So we are looking forward, and we're extremely grateful to the leadership of His Highness Amir.
Since the last conference, a total of $190 million has been spent on Syrian refugee relief programs. The IICO alone has provided around $37 million to those refugees in Jordan, Turkey, Lebanon and Armenia since the outbreak of fighting in Syria around 3 years ago. The IICO also plans to construct a 2,000 unit housing block for the refugees, equipped with adequate schooling and health services, under the directives of His Highness the Emir Sheikh Sabah Al-Ahmad Al-Jabr Al-Sabah. The block mirrored the organization's previous experience with housing blocks in the Kuwait Model Village in Turkey and another in Zaatari camp in Jordan. Both projects included 1,000 homes along with schools, health centers and mosques.
This is the second time we organize this event to raise resources to help Syrians inside and outside Syria. We are hoping that we will manage to raise enough funds to implement as many aid projects on the ground as possible. We have already received a very good number of confirmations from member states and international organizations, and we are hoping for a very successful event.
Kuwaiti state and non-governmental charities launched a collective appeal to their international counterparts for assistance aimed at building 10 such housing blocks worth a total of 40 million KD, which is 142 million of US dollars. This second non-governmental donor for the relief of the Syrian people that came just one day before the huge pledging conference that Kuwait hosts for the second time came to assure that Kuwait is determined to take part in solving the Syrian crisis, not only on the governmental level but also on the non-governmental level. From JW Marriott, this is Hiba Abdurrahman reporting for English News.